This is actually the big one of the day. The big meet today is the working lunch that's going to be happening between the Indian Prime Minister and the French President. It's a big surge in the India-France partnership. Unlike India and Canada, the India-France partnership has been on a high for a very, very long time. Modi and Macron's second meeting this year. That's when they have their working lunch today. It'll be their second big meeting this year. Remember, the Prime Minister was in France earlier this year as chief guest of the Bastille Day celebrations. He was a guest of honor. India and France also, remember, have just begun negotiations on a second deal for French-built Rafale fighters. It's a huge boost to the Delhi-Paris relationship. Polomi, coming to you. The Modi-Macron working lunch, is that going to be happening at the Bharat Mandapam itself? Anything you're picking up? It's a big, big relationship.
Absolutely. As you rightly pointed out, the Prime Minister was there in France, in Paris, for the Bastille Day program on the invitation of the French President. And hence, this relationship, of course, is a big relationship. A lot of strategic importance which is attached to it. And we're expecting that a working lunch scheduled with the French President will happen here at the Bharat Mandapam itself. And also, all eyes will be on a press briefing that the French President is scheduled to address right here at the International Media Center where I am at 2:30 p.m. So the French President there, of course, one of the big leaders who's chosen to stick, to stay back and, in fact, address a press conference. So clearly we're expecting a lot in terms of, the French and their thoughts on the Delhi Declaration. And, of course, if President Macron does reveal what was discussed between him and Prime Minister Modi.
Okay, very interesting. Ambassador Sajjan, I want to pull you in on this. The working lunch that takes place, what's that going to look like? They're going to have lunch, they're going to talk, they'll have their teams with them. India, France have so many things on the table, Ambassador. The Rafale deal, those are the visible aspects of it. The Rafale deal is something you can see and touch and understand, but there is so much else that India and France have going on. This is a relationship that's, on its own fuel.
No, you're very right, Shiv, and I think this is a very special gesture that Prime Minister Modi is showing to President Macron, and this is because of
a working lunch is a special gesture.
Absolutely, okay. Absolutely. Right. It's not like any other normal half an hour, 20-minute sort of a meeting. Right, although there might be structured meetings. This is something special, and it really reminds me, Shiv, of the time when the sort of body language, the sort of close rapport that Prime Minister Modi used to have with Shinzo Abe. It used to be called a bromance, that where, these two leaders would meet literally, every 2 or 3 months, and wherever they met, they would always meet for a meal, either for a breakfast or for a lunch or for a dinner. They would sneak out that time. And I think this is what is happening with the French President also, because of the depth of our relationship. And as you very rightly said, and I totally agree with you, it's not only Rafale, it's not only defense, it's also space, it's also Indo-Pacific, it's also strategic. When we are trying to deal with the machinations of Pakistan in terms of designation of terrorists under the 1267 Committee of the UN Security Council, and China puts in these roadblocks for Masood Azhar and all the others, then it is France that comes to your aid and brings up those issues. When China raises the issue of Kashmir post-August 2019, it is France that comes to your aid and says, that there is no need for a statement by the chairman of the UN Security Council on discussions on this. So, in all this, meaning now it is being said increasingly that what the Soviet Union used to be at one time, as far as India is concerned, our relationship, now that relationship is being taken over by France. Because France also, whether it is in terms of defense, it is in terms of nuclear energy, it is in terms of space.
That big reliable partner.
Reliable partner that, you have good understanding with. And also, in terms of, in the context of our nuclear tests in 1998.
They didn't impose sanctions.
Yes, Russia was one that had a very standing understanding of view of the nuclear test, and also France. Amongst the P5 countries, amongst the developed countries, the 7 developed countries. I think France was about the only one that showed so much of understanding that it was not to enter the nuclear club, but for taking care of our security.
I think the countries like France see the big picture. They play the long game. They saw the big picture as far as India was concerned in 1998. And let's not forget, that's a big picture that even the United States didn't see at that time. So it's important to highlight what France actually saw.